Okay, she's good every now and then.
I'm sure you do enjoy her every now and then, Crim.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I do. All right, she's great.
Yeah, you're probably late at night on the. What's up, everybody? Today we are on episode 19 of the Niisan podcast. Crim, be professional.
Sorry, everybody. Yeah, I'll try.
And hosted by your boys, who's freshly 30, by the way. Josh Xell and Crim. That's me, baby. 3-0. And then joined, of course, is the Asian Avenger, otherwise known as Crim.
I guess, rottenly, moldedly 30. I've been 30 since January, so...
I guess you age quick.
Yeah.
You just hit 30 and then you just molt and turn into a pile of mud on the ground.
The natural progression of my life, either that or I become a fly or something like that, right? But actually, never mind. That movie is showing my age. I'm not going to talk about it, though. So
The Fly. Oh my God. It's okay, guys. You'll learn about it in the history book someday. So funny enough, Crim and I had hung out this entire weekend because
it's been an honor
he was
for
over
Xell.
and we did a all right, now I don't want to talk about it. We did a pop punk rock show, which was fun for our friends. And put that together to celebrate the fact that I had recently turned 30. So that's some fun things.
I think you're failing to mention the coolest part and the most hardcore part of this whole concert that we threw together. And it was the fact that we did it in 2 days. Not even a full 2 days.
True.
We did it really in about 12 hours. I flew in, everybody got together, and then we finally jammed. And that was a blast because we had 10 songs. We had to get it all together, get it done. And, both Xell and I played guitar, and we kind of Xell did a lot of the singing because, birthday boy's got to, sing. And then I even got a little bit of my own vocal, my Vox box in there. So you're like, damn, that nasally unpubertized voice sang. And it's like, yes, even I did. So, it was really fun though. And I think it was also for fun for a multitude of reasons, right? Seeing friends, and also just playing music. I don't think we've done that in a while. So that was a blast.
Yeah. And it was, like Crim was saying, terrifying that we had such a short amount of time to do it. But it was fun. The whole process was fun, and I'm looking forward to potentially V2.
Oh yeah, ooh. Maybe the next podcast will just be us singing to you. Maybe.
Oh God, for an hour, yeah.
Hey, I can do it.
But yeah, no. Back to the point of the podcast today. We're going to be talking about anime versus manga, the great debate. This is kind of the Romeo and the Capulets versus the Montagues of the anime manga world. I guess before that, let's talk about some news. Yeah. First things first. I think a lot of people are excited because JoJo's Part 6. Stone Ocean. I forgot what it's called. Oh my God. But it came out with a new preview. I have not watched it. I try to save the previews so that I can be fresh. It's Stone Ocean. So I don't know. I'm excited. And yeah, we attempted to do the JoJo poses, but they're not very comfortable. I don't know why they stand like this, but I feel like that's a mainstay.
Don't listen to Xell. Every time I lean up on the wall, I'm always just like this. For the listeners at home, my arm is very uncomfortably placed very far behind my head, almost to where I can from the opposite side of my shoulder, I can tickle my chin and hug myself. So yeah.
You mean comfortably?
Yeah, comfortably
put your hand.
Doing that.
Twist your arm behind your back and stand very comfortably at a very comfortable angle. Yes.
We've got the most JoJo angle. We seriously did try to do this, and it was difficult. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it.
Send us your best JoJo pose.
Safely.
Like to see that.
Don't break your back for it because I think you might.
So JoJo's is coming out, and then I think one of the biggest pieces of news, and this has been in the works for a while, I think, is that Crunchyroll and Funimation have combined.
Yeah.
Whoosh.
This is big news.
Fusion.
This is very big
I think. So the last I heard about this, because I remember people speculating on this potentially happening, is that there was a lawsuit actually about potentially there being concerns over a monopoly over anime. they're too powerful. They would have under their control probably the two like biggest sites in which people watch anime.
Right.
I don't know how much of Netflix people watch anime on Netflix, but like obviously Crunchyroll is a huge powerhouse, and I think Funimation is like just right behind them. So like, yeah, I don't know. This is crazy, and my hope is that means that we get both libraries. And we don't have to pay individually for each. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Like
I know what you want.
That's what I want.
I know what
we're
we're probably going to get.
Okay, tell us. Just break it to us. What do you think?
We're still going to keep paying this 2 separate subscriptions.
No,
look, I don't. It's that Kirsten
don't
Dunst,
tell me that,
the
Crim.
Spider-Man meme. Just tell it to me like it is. You know what I mean? And the news is, I hope I'm wrong. I hope by the time this goes up, it turns out they're going to fuse into one and we don't have to pay 2 separate plans. But we are. And it's just now going to be the battle between Sony and Netflix. Those are our front runners, our like leading anime streaming sites, right? And that's going to be it. But the thing is, even though there's only 2 things that are battling against each other, we're going to be paying for still probably 3 to 4 subscription services. Because look, why wouldn't they milk us for more money, right? Essentially, I think how they're looking at this, and how I assume just TV in general is going to look at this, is like, hey, nobody watches TV anymore in the at least in the old school way of like what is considered watching TV, right? We don't have like direct TV with like 5,000 channels. Everybody watches just a few specific channels, right? And they know that. And so they know that they could just be like, well, you know what? We'll just charge them for each channel separately. And I think that's what it's going to be, unfortunately, because I want this to be one big package, deal for me to just be like, okay, cool. Well, if I pay to Sony monthly, I get to watch all of these. That's not going to happen, though.
I think, okay, so pie in the sky, my biggest wish out of this would be that we get both libraries, right, of Funimation, Crunchyroll, combined. We pay one small monthly fee that's, appropriate and like around where Crunchyroll is at now. And they somehow spend some amount of money actually making their sites usable.
Oh, get out of here. Get out of here.
Did I wish for too much?
Yeah, you're asking for... First off, let's one step at a time, dude. One step at a time. Let's first off worry about whether or not we have to pay for multiple subscriptions. Because think about how long we've had these subscription services, and not one of them has made a usable interface. Every interface is pretty much designed by me. Like, I don't know who's like legitimately paying these people, but I might even have a better shot at designing an interface for people. Like, hit me up, yo, Crunchyroll, whoever. Hey, if you're listening to this, I got you. Just hire me and I'll help you like at least make the layout, the general layout, because it looks terrible. It looks like dog caca, poo, whatever you want to call it. Like, it's awful. And now with them merging, like Crunchyroll and Funimation, there's even less competition to push them towards a better interface, right? Because now they're just going to be equally trash. Like, have you used the Funimation interface?
Oh God, yeah. I watch it on my TV, like app thing. Oh God, and it's legitimately the worst. And like the subtitle, I have to play out the first minute, and then restart it so that the captions sync up to what's actually happening.
There's a huge syncing issue on Funimation.
Sucks. Yeah. And then for some reason, when you get to the end of a series and it wants to like autoplay the next thing, it'll go to the next language of the thing. It's like, yeah, of course. After I got done watching the show, I wanted to watch it again in German. That sounds great. Yes, that is exactly what I wanted.
Crunchyroll had that issue, and they finally spaced them out. So it wasn't like episode 4 in Portuguese, episode 4 in English, and episode 4 in Japanese, right? They eventually put it by the run, which is still awful. Don't get me wrong. Like, it's like, hold on. Why is the Japanese one the last one? I have to hold my R2 button on my PS4, aka my Netflix, my streaming device, because I pretty much use my PS4 only to watch anime now at this point. I hold R2 all the way to the end, and that's when I can finally get to the most current Japanese episode.
Yeah.
Crunchyroll slightly fixed it. Funimation, dude, it's just the wild, wild west of Funimation.
Yeah, I really don't understand. And then like when you're trying to find the most recent episode on the app too, the if they had added new subtitled or like new languages to episodes, or if they like added a new series to the thing, it clogs up the new. So like when you want to find like the most recent episode of Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, you have to wade through all these other series of like, well, here's the new French dub that got released of this 10-year-old anime, and then here's the, you know what, and so it's just like, oh god, can I just have something that says these are, you know, I don't know, I again, pie in the sky. I just want a functional interface. Is it too much to ask?
It is. And to tie it all back, with them going under one company, they have even less incentive. Who's going to challenge them? Netflix's interface is actually better.
Yeah, and you know what? I still don't like Netflix either.
Maybe the bar is low, but like I'm like, yo, this Netflix interface. Oh god, who? I didn't think we had this much technology to do this. Oh my god, for an anime streaming service, what are we doing here? Oh my lord.
I think currently my favorite one is maybe like Disney Plus. Like I can find like Star Wars, Marvel, like everything is like bracketed, and maybe because they have like less.
Yeah, they have
overall
way
stuff
smaller library though.
But at least it's organized in a way that like makes some modicum of sense. But anyway.
But yeah, we can go on for days about that. But let's move on to the next thing. Which, by the way, so we went over the JoJo's, and now we've gone over the Crunchyroll part. I believe now it's onto the main show. So,
the main show, yes. This is like the, you know, the UFC, the match you've been all waiting for.
Yes.
The heavyweight championship title.
That's it. This is what everybody always likes talking about, and it's like, and you probably have heard it before, right? Oh, sorry, I mostly read the manga. Oh, sorry, I don't really read manga, right? Like there, you hear both, right? And you know, this is great. Like that's a whole separate topic on whether, like, you know, does that matter in Wada Wada? Or I guess no, it's like within the same topics. The main thing the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is because I've realized we used to have this big issue, right? Xell and I were talking about we've got this big we had this issue at least where old animes, right, more often than not deviated from the source material, right? And like that's got its issues, right? Like I think some animes that I can think of that are like prime examples of this are like Fruits Basket. Why is Fruits Basket the current season revered? I wish I finally finished and caught up with, and it's oh my god good. Fruits Basket, the original anime, deviated from the manga by Tokyo Pop by so much, and it completely botched the second half of the season. Black Butler is another one where I don't even think I've been told that the Butler Wars never even happened, but season 2 made it happen. And I'm like, okay, so essentially butlers are mech units. All right, cool, got it. this.
Yeah, I mean, famously, I think too, like Full Metal Alchemist, right?
Yeah.
Like another example of like shows, and it was out of necessity, but in the end, we get left with an anime that's very unfulfilling, and I think that was like a commonplace thing, like you had mentioned in the past.
Yeah, it was like very common to do that. And okay, I at the same time appreciate when you take the creative reins, right, and you're able to like do something and kind of make it new, right? But how do we feel like is that problematic? Because here's the other side of the coin, right? So nowadays we have tons of animes that are just following the source material to a T. Now, the manga readers are like, foam finger, number one, that's what I want. But is that actually cool? Like, is that actually good? Like, do you like that? I personally can tell you this. To compare it to the Marvel formula, right? Marvel's done a very good job of taking both, like paying respects to the source material while also keeping it new for somebody that's already read the comics.
Yeah.
I think that is like something that obviously when you have the budget that Marvel does and you have the writers that Marvel's got, you can do that, right? But is it too much to ask? I guess with the theme of the episode, let's ask for as much as we can this week, okay? I think we can have the Marvel formula in anime, and I think that's what it should be. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if I like that things just follow the manga to a T. I think that's kind of boring.
Yeah. I heard that Tokyo Revenge, I haven't read Tokyo Revengers, but I heard the manga and the anime are almost like 1-to-1. Like the anime follows the manga to a T, like you had said. And compared to a different show from this season, which would be like Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, where the source material is apparently very ecchi and not family friendly, whereas the Kobayashi's Dragon Maid in the anime is pretty family friendly, you know, like surprisingly considering some of the
Whoever
characters.
goes from the anime to the manga, by the way, is going to be in for a woo.
Yeah, I'm like curious what because I haven't read it myself, but like that's what I hear is that like the source material is ecchi, and so we have these sort of like two sides of the different coin, and I wish this is a dangerous wish, but I wish people the animation people who take the source material and you know transcribe them. I wish they would take more liberties to make it make more sense in anime. I think one of the things that people forget and why I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I prefer the manga over the anime. And I think that's like a pretty common sentiment, especially like people who have been deeply embedded in like the sort of otaku realm, I guess. And the reason why I think that is because when you're consuming manga, it's almost like a choose your own adventure because you can kind of speed through things as you want. You can slow down on things that you want to appreciate more. You get to kind of like fast forward, rewind kind of as is. When you watch an anime, it is a set pace, right? You just press play. I know there are monsters out there, by the way, who watch anime at like 2x speed, but like the medium is different, and therefore I think that the storytelling has to be changed to fit the medium, right? And that's why kind of like what we talked about a bunch of episodes back, we talked about like anime movies becoming just like 6 episodes in a row and then calling it a movie and wrapping that up as like a thing, you know, like I think that's inappropriate too, because I think movies and series are different mediums, and similarly I think manga and anime is different, and so I wish shows would take more liberties. Now of course the reason why I said this is a very dangerous wish is because that also means you get stuff like The Promised Neverland season 2 where they take some liberties, and those were
taking liberties I feel like might be an understatement.
I mean, they essentially like Frankensteined that manga, right? And like, I've never read the manga for The Promised Neverland season 2, but that was butchery, right? That was like a guy who who went to a butcher shop and tried to put together pieces of meat and call it a pet cow, you know, like it just didn't make sense. It was horribly disfigured and like very unenjoyable. So like and so to me I always look to KyoAni for these things because I think they're kind of a studio that's famous for taking liberties, because like I think K-On! Is a show where the source material apparently was essentially devoid of real content. Like there wasn't that much there, and so they filled the gaps in with whatever stories like that they filled out for the anime, and I personally loved it for that. And so like I think these are the type of things that are good. And so yeah, it's a double-edged sword to ask for people to make these sort of things, but I think when an anime just kind of just goes along with the manga, it's missing out. And that's why I think shows like Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, like I think these are where things sort of step up quite a bit, where either through animation flair, like they bring fights out into life, and you know, they try to cut things that are too extraneous to get into the backstories of, and I think that's like a wonderful thing that they've done, and makes me want to continue to watch it. And like there are these shows that like I think they're so good on their own that like it doesn't make me want to read the manga. And like I know a lot of manga readers say like, oh yeah, the anime is like, you know, doesn't hit everything, but they're good, right? Yeah. And so at that point I have no complaints. But of course, like there are also just shows that I could never recommend watching the anime for, even if the anime was good.
Okay.
Like, you know, like One Piece, for example, like how if you started One Piece now,
yeah, in the year 2021,
you'd be done. Okay, wait. Let me see how many One Piece episodes. How many are there in total?
There has to be over 1,000.
There are,
or close.
There's 20 seasons.
Yeah. I guess I'm thinking chapters. Sorry, there's definitely over 1,000 chapters by now. from the manga.
So, if my math is right, 981 episodes, and each episode is like what 20 minutes long.
Right. Let's call it 17 minutes, give or take. Intros, recaps, all of that.
Yeah, and so that is equivalent. So if you sat down and nonstop to watch One Piece, you'd be done in a little less than 2 weeks if you didn't sleep. Like, that's how much One Piece episodes there. I could never ask somebody to try to enjoy this series because of that. Whereas like manga, like you consume it so much faster, and so like a long form story like that, I think makes a lot more sense in manga than anime. Oh my god!
First off, bless anybody that's willing to do that. Second off, I have my issues, and I think like if I were to ask you, right, and you were to ask me the same question back, yes, there's the ups and downs of both, but what is your preferred method? Would you rather it follow the manga to a T, or would you rather them take the liberties? So you were saying earlier you'd rather them take the liberties, right?
Yeah.
No,
it feels like a monkey paw wish. It feels like a monkey paw wish.
It's definitely got its, it's got its upsides and downsides here. Okay, so
I meet a magical genie that I rub out of a, I don't know, like an anime figurine, and an anime genie comes out, and he's like, "Doshita no, anata wa no wish desu ka?" I don't know. That's the worst Japanese ever. But please. what is your wish or whatever? And I'm like, I wish anime studios would take more liberties with manga. And he's like, "Your wish is granted."
Everything is the promise never
away. It's the original Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood disappears from
God.
the Fruits Basket. The new one disappears. You're just like, oh no, what have I done? and meanwhile we're left with Game of Thrones, the series, and I'm like, no, what have I? And the monkey paw just like
definitely curls a little there, but I mean, assuming that everything stays intact in the timeline, though, like moving forward, would you rather them just take more liberties over like them following to a T?
I think the safer thing is to say to stick to a T, right? Because the thing is like most of the anime that gets adapted to anime are the popular ones, right? And the reason why they're popular is because they're generally good. And so if you follow them to a T, I don't think you'd necessarily have something bad. But personally, I wouldn't mind if they went
you can't. I can't
choose. I can't choose.
You can't walk the center. You gotta pick one.
I can't.
You gotta pick one.
If I had a gun to my head,
yes,
and this anime genie had a gun to my head, and I had to make this wish, it would probably be to have them follow to a T. No, I said it. I feel disgusted with myself because I feel like that's such a safe answer.
It's so safe, and don't get me wrong, like that's fine, and it's reasonable to want that. That is the safe answer. But does it not get boring if you know everything? I guess a lot of it is like, what is the purpose of me watching the anime? The animation, right? Okay. But
yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. Why would I wait week to week to watch 17 minutes of animation when I could just take that time, the already limited time? If I had all the time in the world, then sure, whatever. Let's get wild and let's just
watch all of One Piece.
Watch all of One Piece and read One Piece at the same time. But if there was because there is a finite number of time in the day, and I'm going to want to choose one or the other. So at that point, do I not just want, there's no point in watching the anime, right? I mean, the animation's great. Like, all these bells and whistles are great. But if I already know it, then there's really no point.
Okay, let me ask you a question then. So you've read the Jujutsu Kaisen manga.
I'm up to, and I mean, I'm not even just talking about the serialized ones, because I don't think here stateside we have 11 yet. I'm talking about just individual chapters up to where you could tell they started just putting out stick figure art because they're just stuck in crunch on deadlines.
Yeah. No, I was curious, having read that, do you feel like you would have not watched the anime, or the anime would have been less special to you if you had read the manga
100%.
first?
I think the manga. Okay, so here's the thing: the manga is amazing, and so this is what I've told people. There's a reason why I stopped reading manga as much, and it was because I felt like the battle. At least when it came to manga, I didn't read battle animes because I wanted to see the spectacles of that were supposed to be the fights, right? And at the same time, believe it or not, even if you could tell me the story is paper thin and it's just a bunch of fighting, I still don't want to know the outcome because it's like giving myself a spoiler and for no reason, right? And like, I love this manga. I think the Jujutsu Kaisen manga is great. The artwork, like, gets a little questionable later, but I think it's amazing. But that's where the manga comes in, right? The manga is like, okay, the manga can make up, or I mean, the anime can come in and make up for that because the animation's so god tier amazing. But I am now waiting a whole nother year, right? A whole nother year or whatever, maybe 6 months until season 2 starts again, right?
Yeah.
At that point, like, I'm waiting and it's taking so much time, and there's now like so much anime that comes out. Like, okay, I've already read this, so why watch it? Because of bells and whistles? So for the longest time, that's why I stopped reading manga, because I knew I was probably going to watch the battle anime anyways. And with how things have been trending, they're going to follow the books to the T. So if they follow it, then I guess I don't have to read it. So that's why I stopped reading, and it eventually went in that direction. Now I'm picking it back up again because I'm getting impatient again, right? Yeah. And I'm getting impatient. I want to read again. I just want to know. But then now that I've read it, I'm not going to lie to you, I might have already killed the hype a little bit for season 2 for me with Jujutsu Kaisen.
I think, like, for me, probably because currently in my like pattern of consuming this stuff is that I'm an anime only guy. That's probably why I said what I did.
Right.
It's because I feel like I don't have to read the manga to do it. But now that you said, so wait, would you prefer that all the anime that comes out is like non-canon and like follows like a very different arc or something, or like anime has a different story, or like what is your okay, so the anime genie has now visited you.
right
and he asks you, like, what should the relation this is a very complicated way.
Genie is
he asks you
very specific.
Yeah, he's got the permanent anime glasses.
All
shine.
right.
And so he comes down to you and he's like, choose the destiny of anime and manga in the future.
Yeah.
Like what is yours? What do you see as like the perfect symbiotic relationship that anime and manga could have?
It should be symbiotic to some extent, but it should be like how Marvel does it. Marvel perfectly pulls arcs and characters that we know, and they're proven to be solid arcs, but then they change it up. They change it up a little bit, like example how Dragon Maid changed the source material to something more wholesome and family friendly, right? So they change it to where it's more current. The twists, they fuse villains together. So like they did this with Iron Man 2. They fused Whiplash and Crimson Dynamo, right? They put those two villains together. And that, like whether you liked Iron Man 2, that's a whole different story, right? But the thing is, I appreciate that they're willing to do that. And I think that's what manga should do. Either that or just like slightly change it up a bit, right? Like maybe expand where the manga failed, right? Where the manga like hey, I wish this had more detail and went into and explored this relationship a little bit more, right? And
do you think Marvel does that though? Because I feel like the difference between people who enjoy the Marvel movies and the people who read the source material, that has to be a ginormous gap. Right?
No.
Or do you think I'm wrong?
Think about
you don't
this.
Think so?
I don't think so, because you got to remember, these comic books, like the source material for these comics, are ages old and passed down to my uncle handed me an essential Iron Man comic, right? Like it's an essential. It's like an omnibus that comes with like the first 100 issues in black and white. Yeah. So it's almost like these are tales passed on like over time, right? So there's a huge fan base out there that has read the comics, right? Like a huge fan base. And then think about all the people that watched the movies and then went back and read more of the comics.
But like to the extent that Marvel is popular, like the way the Marvel movies have become even more ubiquitous, like that's the part of it. 'Cause I'm the fan that I'm describing that I'm talking about here, where I never read the comic books or anything, so I never came into watching the Marvel movies being like, oh, I've kept up with the comic books forever, and my dad loved him and passed down. Like I don't have that story. I just came in because people were like, oh yeah, the Marvel movies are cool, and I watched Iron Man. I was like, oh yeah, Iron Man that's cool.
Did it make you want to go back?
It didn't make me want to read the comic books at all. I was just like, oh yeah, this is cool. I like the movies, and now the Disney so like
okay, well, so that's good. First off, like because that means that their movies are still solid. But that's why I love that formula, and it's because you specifically watch that movie as somebody who has no idea what it is and love it, right? And then you have me, who read. I actually probably have every issue of Iron Man up until volume 3 from the late 90s, right?
Yeah.
And I went in there blown away. They improved on some of the relationships that they didn't get to do in the comic books, right? They expanded a little more on Obadiah Stane, and like they did a lot, right? So I think that's what manga can do, right? Anime can do for the manga. There's like some like one of the things that I thought was problematic. Another one is like The Walking Dead, right? This I don't know if any of you like remember this, but Walking Dead, the original first 2 characters is Rick, the main character, and his best friend, right? In the comic books, they actually the Shane dies very early, no drama. The show added more drama, kept Shane alive. I love that. So that's what manga needs to do. There's characters that have been like just killed off randomly. There's arcs and characters that just think about this. If you took the manga version of Sakura, right, from like Naruto, yeah, and you actually then let's say the manga didn't exist, and you expanded on her character, you gave her more of a role. You can expand on that, and all characters that just feel like they've been kind of useless and pointless. So I think that's what
I think that's like a super optimistic look at it, though, right? Because like when people take liberties on stuff like this, like I don't think it's always just like, oh yeah, this character in the source material sucked, so we're gonna give them like a cooler, bigger role, right? Like in the way that you talked about Walking Dead, like. And also, I'm kind of curious too, like with The Walking Dead, were people upset that like, hey, we changed the source material quite a bit? Or is it because like literally there isn't that many people who read the source material by the time Walking Dead got so big? You know what I mean?
I can see where that argument, because like Walking Dead definitely was not huge comic book wise until the show.
Yeah. And so like the scale at which Marvel movies are popular, I feel like the average Marvel movie going watcher is different than the average person who read the comics going into the movies, right? Whereas now to bring it back to anime manga, I feel like probably the same people who go to watch the anime series are probably more similar to the people who read the mangas than in like the comic book versions. That's my. Again, I'm totally biased here because this is how I am, and this is how. I mean, I don't know. I've had to ask my girlfriend Kelly if she read any of the original comic books for Marvel and stuff, and like and see if she got into Marvel because she was a big fan of the comics. Because my impression is to say that like people who watched the Marvel movies did it because that there was an incredible amount of like marketing budget put into it, made it popular, and the movies themselves were really good. And like, so the scale at which the Marvel movies exist to me far surpasses like what anime is, or anime movies even, versus like manga, anime versus comic books.
I will admit that the average person that's probably watching the Marvel movie is going to a level that is, like that is. It's way different than the number of people that have read just the comic books, right? But then you don't just factor in the comics, because I kind of factor in like comic books. What about the TV shows? We grew up in the 90s. The X-Men cartoon, right? There's all these cartoons like X-Men Evolution, Wolverine and the X-Men, all these really good cartoon shows. There's people that are going to be coming in from all the like the 80s Iron Man TV show, right? There's going to be people like there's always been Marvel media, right? Yeah. So there is a lot of stuff out there to draw people towards a movie. I will admit that, was Iron Man a household name in 2008? No. Spider-Man was. Captain America, no. Thor, definitely not. So these are all characters that got boosted and were heightened by how well they were written in the movies, right? So why not try to do that with characters like at this point Marvel has sold us on Ant-Man, right? So
well, they had the power of Paul Rudd.
I mean, Paul Rudd is a very powerful tool. I will admit that. The anime doesn't have Paul Rudd yet.
They put out the they put out the ace card in the hole there, right? Like they were just like, oh god, we have to make a movie about Ant-Man. Oh shit, break the glass.
It's just Paul Rudd.
We're calling in Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd gets a telephone call from
Call
a
me Jobin,
thing.
not that movie, dude. But I think that though anime doesn't have Paul Rudd, what it does have though is that it does have the ability to have first off time, and that I do think that you don't have to immediately put these out like how Marvel's churning out movies, right? You can take years off. Like Attack on Titan felt like it took 30 years to come out with second season, and so I think what you can do with anime is exactly just kind of work on the characters a little bit more. And I guess the liberties I'm seeing the upside of this because Shane did go over a lot way better than being alive, and I think that there's a lot of characters that can benefit from this. And if it sucks, is it better than having a non-factor character? I guess I view this as I would rather them take the shot, and at worst it's still better than a doormat character. Unless they somehow, you would have to really
make Sakura a worse character.
Exactly. You would have to work, and I mean the amount of work that you would have to write to make her a worse character is not possible. So you are more likely to land that she'll be a better character, right?
I guess the thing is that I guess where I'm coming from is I feel like these aren't quite equivalent, and I wonder what the equivalent for Marvel Comics is, because the movies that are made to be as mass appealing as possible, right? And so that's why I feel like you can sometimes get away with having to take these sort of liberties, I think about it as the same argument between books and the movie, right? Like Harry Potter books and the movie, Twilight, which you can watch on Netflix by the way now.
Which, by the way, the books are apparently infinitely better, and darker.
Maybe. I've heard Twilight movies are the books also read
1-to-1. No.
They just read teenage fan fiction.
Right. But darker teenage fan fiction.
Maybe, yeah. And so I guess the problem that I'm having with equivalizing these things is that I don't think that those movies are made for the average person who really enjoyed the source material. The movies are to extend what's popular about the source material and get it to an even broader audience.
Why not do that with anime?
Well, because I don't think that's the intent behind the anime that is currently out. But that's it. I don't know. I guess
if that were true, My Hero Academia wouldn't exist, right? Or at least I feel like the show, the way it's written, even some of it now has I heard Deadpool is in it randomly, right? In the Shonen Weekly. So they are working on trying to make you can't tell me they aren't trying to appeal to the masses. When I say I'm talking all the battle animes and stuff like that, the shonens, the ones that are just easy, this will be a hit, right? They're starting to throw in random English characters, American characters and more English words. They're, you know what I mean? You could tell they're making an attempt. They may not directly go out and say it, but I feel like they in a way they're acknowledging it, right? That hey,
I'm this is actually kind of mind blowing to me because I'm is isekai meant to be widely popular among everybody, or is it tailored to the Japanese otaku audience, right? Because I think about some of the most popular anime stuff, and I think that stuff is for me, manga, the source material, and then the anime that comes after it is meant to appeal broadly to anime fans, and when it crosses over to the general public, that's when it happens to boom, right? And that's why like stuff like Naruto blows up, Demon Slayer blows up. But I'm having a hard time parsing through this because I'm like, what if they did that with, I don't know, is Kobayashi's Dragon Maid that? Like, is Tokyo Revengers that? Like, is some Fruits Basket that? Like, they feel like they're not aimed to be widely consumed necessarily. I don't know. I'm having a hard time parsing through this. I really don't.
I get what you're saying. Like, I see that, right? Like, yeah, maybe Miss Kobayashi Dragon Maid and Fruits Baskets, you know, like these aren't things that are meant to be like when they make it, it's not because like, oh, well, we got to remember them Americans, right? Them Americans.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I will say that I do think that taking these liberties and changing a few characters or making a few characters even better, regardless of the appeal to the masses or not.
Yeah. Well,
like,
okay, actually,
why not?
Since you know about this stuff, have there ever been TV series built off of like comic books?
Yeah, tons. Wait. TV series built off of comic books.
Yeah, made to be like mirror the source material. So like, you know, the way anime and manga are now, where, you know, like Tokyo Revengers is, you know, tries to be close to the manga as possible. You know, are there TV shows that like is Loki or
like The Boys?
You know, is that
The Boys is one?
The Boys.
Like that's serialized and it's been very good at following the comics. And
is Invincible that way?
I hear Invincible's really good, but I haven't watched Invincible, nor have I read Invincible, so I can't speak to that. But I can tell you that I do think that like The Boys was a really solid show, and it didn't exactly do everything like the comic book did, right? It kind of like patched some spots, made a few characters better here and there, but at the same time it was still able to keep a lot of like some of the darker things that did happen in The Boys, comic book wise. So I think The Boys is a prime example of like some solid TV that is based off the comic book, serialized, and, you know, did well, and with edits, edits from the source material.
Did they go pretty crazy with the edits? Like, did they change the characters?
They flat out left some big scenes. Well, big scenes, but they like scenes that were in the manga, but that weren't necessary. Right. So,
yeah,
that's
because I think that happens now, too. Right. In, you know, My Hero Academia, I don't think it's like always one for one. I don't know.
Well, my issue is that My Hero Academia needs to leave stuff out. Like it needs my issue here now is just like, yo, I'm happy that you're trying to do this. Like you're going arc to arc and like match it. But, dude, once again, much like you said earlier, you can read manga at your own speed. That's great.
Yeah.
Yo, this is like anime and I don't need all this filler. There is so much filler this season. It is upsetting. Like, I am genuinely upset and I feel irritated every time I'm watching this season. Just because, why? And it's not because I have a problem with long form, although you've heard me say before that usually around 5th season, you could start seeing the wear. Right? Like this is where they're like, okay, well, we need to stretch some stuff out. And why not just move along? Why not just go deeper? Why not have the arcs progress? Because you don't need, like, not everything that you read in the manga needs to be in here.
Yeah. No, I agree.
So like that's the problem. And if this is the curse, right? The curse is that if it follows it to a T, you will have these seasons where it feels like I waited a year and a half, right? And now I'm watching what feels like 80% filler, 20% actual like relevance, like relevant things. Because they are following it to a T. Like, you know what I mean? Like if they've got every scene in there, that's kind of pointless, right? You can sum things up. You can cut out chunks. Hell, you could have probably skipped the gentleman arc, right? I don't even know if that is an arc. The thing here is like, if it is an arc, good Lord, please, you should have skipped over that. But watching and reading the anime, like reading the manga is great. And I love reading the manga, but at times it just feels like I don't need to watch the anime now because if the anime follows it, you know, like I love Mappa's animation, but animation, as picky as I am with animation, it doesn't save it from spoilers. And if I know everything, it's not that I won't watch it, it's just that I have no urgency to watch it. Like maybe I'll watch season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen when it comes out, right? Because yeah, why not, right? But it's not going to be at the top of my list because I've already read it and I know that it's going to follow it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like manga I've read that doesn't have an anime currently or like webtoons.
Yeah.
But I think I would be excited, you know, like, you know, if they came out with an anime for Solo Leveling, for example, I think I would be hyped for it, you know, because like I know I like the original. So I guess for me, I kind of waver between here. It feels like it's dependent on
the genre.
On one, the genre, but two, like the quality at which the adaptation is done. Because like, you know, with I don't know, Tokyo Revengers or well, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other anime that came out from manga recently. I keep using Tokyo Revengers as an example, but I guess like
I mean Jujutsu Kaisen.
I don't feel particularly wooed. Well, I like in Jujutsu Kaisen's case, I'm wowed by the anime. So I feel like if I had read the manga and I was like a big fan of the manga and I found out the anime is coming for it, I think I'd be really excited. And then I watched the anime and I'm like, oh my God, this fight is awesome. And actually, you know, when I read One Piece, because I've read a lot of One Piece. I read up to the Wano arc, which is like basically the ongoing arc currently in the last 100 episodes. And I would, every time I got to hype fight, I would just Google what the fight was and episode was in the anime, and then I would just watch those episodes.
So you're skipping,
I'm like,
right?
Well, just in the anime, but that's because I don't have time to watch the whole thing for One Piece, right? Like I just.
But imagine if you didn't know that. Granted that you know what I mean. Like if you didn't know that, you would you would watch every episode, right?
As long as it wasn't as long as One Piece,
sure.
I think I'd be fine.
Like,
you know, like if it was like if My Hero situation where it's like 12 of us, or like Haikyuu or something like that, I think I would still enjoy the anime, you know, and like
I'll admit, example like Jujutsu Kaisen, the animation, like in the way it's drawn in the art books, right? Like or in the art here,
yeah, it's
like decent, it's solid, but I will admit that if the animation has to be Jujutsu Kaisen level, the show. It has to be done by Mappa for me to like stay tuned and watch even after reading it, because the animation is so god tier by Mappa that I guess that animation does carry it. It has to carry. It has to be some of the best animation I've seen for me to watch that. But that is the bar. Like example, I will tell you this: I don't think Tokyo Revengers animation is amazing. Right? Yeah. It's just passable. Yeah. So if I had read Tokyo Revengers, I would not watch Tokyo Revengers. 100%.
How about Konosuba though? You know, Konosuba, the animation is okay. It's not like the best thing I've ever seen, but it's very funny, right? And like, would you feel that way about a show like that, I guess?
I'm going to be honest with you. I have the Konosuba manga. And I'll be honest with you, I think the anime is better. I think the anime is much better. But this is where it's like, well, I'm glad it doesn't follow everything. And on top of that, I'm kind of upset that I read it because I feel like the manga just doesn't capture the humor as well.
Yeah.
So obviously it changes. My answer will change from anime to anime, right? But if you were to ask me just directly, gun to my head, I would choose Take the Liberties. It opens you up to more possibilities. Yes, of course, it's a lot like high risk, high reward kind of situation, right? You may potentially get the stinkers, like some really bad stinkers. Like maybe they do find a way to make Sakura worse.
Yeah.
But I feel like the bar and the odds put you in favor of getting a better character. So I don't know. Like, I mean, if you were to add, like, obviously please listeners at home understand that this is not like I feel that the manga or whatever is never good, yada, 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 anything like that. It's just that if you were to ask me, and this genie had its, like, I don't know, lamp to my head or something like that, right? I would 100% choose Take the Liberties.
That'd be an American genie.
Yeah, sure. An American genie would have a gun. Every other genie would probably have a normal lamp or something cool, right? But the thing here is, I would rather take the liberties. It opens you up to more things. It keeps both people. It keeps the newer people, and it keeps the manga readers. And now I understand, okay, this is where the crowd comes in. Oh, I like the manga more. Of course you like the manga more, right? You watched it, you read it at your pace, right? You were able to sit there, process it, and then do it you can, at times when you're reading it, you can put your own through your own narrative, your own spin on it just by reading it, right? Like maybe the internal voice that you heard, I don't know, Toto speaking in is much better and cooler in your head than the actual voice of Toto. Not that the voice actor of Toto is problematic. I actually love the voice actor, but yeah, this is the thing. Like manga will always be at your own pace. It'll always be your own pace, so it's always going to feel better.
So it's funny because we started the idea on this episode talking about like anime versus manga, but really what we're talking about right now is like anime versus its source material and like what would we want out of it, right? Because it's like, yeah, no, I think this is it's interesting, and I think the safe answer, of course, again, is that it just follows it to a T, and the popular manga that gets adapted, you'll get decent anime at worst, but I think
how about this? Let's bring it back a little, right? Let's pull it back a little, and let's get that answer then. So, I do not think that we should because we did kind of answer it, right? Like at the end of the day, would you rather have something that follows every source material on the dot, or somebody would take the liberties, right? So that's kind of like, because the problem was we had mentioned earlier was that things are known now. Right. And it take out whatever I'm trying to get out of it, whatever you're trying to get out of it. Right. The things are known. Is that not boring? Is that not problematic?
I personally, I don't think it's as problematic. I think it's like everything's conditional on how good things are. But like, I think. So I think this question is a little stilted because I think like when we talk about it following it to a T, we know there are problems, right? We know that there are problems with doing everything to a T. And so by being like, well, you can have what's behind door number 2, which you don't know. Do you want this, I don't know, lovely piece of bread or whatever's behind this beautiful curtain here?
Like there's the sure thing.
It makes you
right, like the sure thing.
The sure thing, and then and so I think what we're really talking about is potential for anime, right? Yeah. And like the potential of anime is that I think by taking liberties, they could take the risk to make something truly great. Because I think when we come down to the really core of this argument of like anime versus manga, I think a beautifully done anime is more impactful in a lot of ways than a beautifully put together manga. And like, that's probably a spicy take, but for me, watching something that's beautifully animated with a beautiful soundtrack and the storytelling is great, like I think that has a more lasting impact on me than the manga doing the same sort of thing. And so like, to me, anime can elevate beyond what manga can, but only when it surpasses like that certain thing. So like for me, I guess like, yeah, I want them to take liberties when it's good. Yeah. and then when it's bad, we get stinkers like The Promised Land season 2. I just feel upset.
Fair.
So I don't know.
As bad as season 2 of The Promised Neverland is, I'm happy that they try to change it up. So I appreciate the effort. And I worry because I guess what if down the line, because it seems to be steering in that direction anyways, companies are taking less liberties and they're just like, you know what, just take the safe route. I don't like the safe route. And you know, like for me, my preference kind of lies kind of the same way like Xell had mentioned, and it's that a well put together anime will move me and stick to my. This is just for me. Not every listener, you know, will agree here. I mean, you know that with my opinions, and so I will say that I think that a well put together anime will last more, have a more burning impression, lasting impression in my mind, right? And it'll stay with me forever. I can read a manga and I'll forget it. No matter how good it is, I'll get the general parts of it. But if I watch an anime, I will visually have a cue that'll stay with me for the rest of my life.
Well, I will say, like, there have been manga that have imprinted itself very deeply into my soul. You know, like, I'm not saying that manga can't do that too, but I think overall it's probably rare for manga to do that compared to anime.
And it's going to be even more rare if they never take the liberties. I genuinely think that. That's an opinion.
I'm just talking about the manga. Yeah. I'm just talking about the manga.
Well,
you know, like, yeah, so like not even talking about, and so like an anime, even if the anime, like if Jujutsu Kaisen continues to just 1-for-1 animate to, you know, the manga, and I have no idea if it is or it isn't, like I think I'd be super impressed and I'd be super happy with it, you know. And so
I think it will. Jujutsu Kaisen is a rare case for me because that's just how good the animation is. Like the animation is so good. And it's so well done. The voice acting is so well done that I can get behind that, right? But that's something that's carried by also, first off, very cool source material. And then on top of that, carried by the fact that it's, you know, everything around it is really good. The animation is absurd. But as I had mentioned, not so much on the MAPPA scale animation, not so much anywhere else like the Tokyo Revengers. I probably wouldn't watch it if I read it. I just feel like there's why, right? Like why? Why do I need to watch that? Why do I need or vice versa? Why do I need to read that? Something that I was okay, like it does change between genres, right? Because now maybe like example Miruko-chan, that's got an anime coming out sometime this year. I love the light novel. I love the way the visuals look there. I'm wondering, I have to watch the anime, but I'm wondering, will it keep me entertained? Because I've read it. The story is paper thin, so I guess I don't care because it's not like a spoiler really matters. But the thing here is maybe it changes between genres because for me, I always felt like it was battle animes, specifically long running battle animes. I never, because of how long it's gonna go, I always choose manga or anime. Which one am I reading? Because there's no way I'm doing both.
Yeah, I guess if you're breaking it down into genres, there's probably, I think genres definitely have a huge impact. And if we're going to talk about shonen in general, that is probably, I think genres that are sort of like very popular and there's like many versions of, you know, I think that's when I want more liberties than not. Does that make sense?
And especially in shonens, because I think that's the genre that always has a ton of filler. Because they're long running, right? So they're always the ones that I will grade the hardest on.
I think it's like filler, but also I feel like also they tend to be the most superfluous anyways. Even setting aside like the filler episodes that come in and like whatever, and like narratively, I think shonens are the ones that usually kind of suffer the most. They're all about the pizzazz of the fights, but all the in between stuff seems to feel like lacking.
Which is why I
often
just watched it.
Yeah.
Right. So, do I regret reading Jujutsu Kaisen? Not at all. I highly recommend it. It's still good. I enjoy Yu Yu Hakusho all the same. But think about that. That's like 2 shonens in a long list of running shonens and animes that have existed over time.
Yeah.
It's so rare, right? Like, so it has to be that good. It has to be that good.
Okay, Crim, you said a hard argument here, and like the more I talk about it, I'm like, okay, I'm starting to edge toward the side of like maybe anime would be better,
right?
If that genie came back with that gun lamp, maybe I'd be like, okay, all right, guy,
right? Like,
I think it's time. It's time that we take. And I think one of the other examples that kind of came into mind is like anime that are based off of light novels in particular, and like some of them are really interesting visually because they get to kind of do whatever they want, right? They create their own character, the style of it, and like for me, the Monogatari series, like I can't imagine what it would have been like to try to one for one the book, because what makes that show good is that they were able to take so many liberties visually in terms of like the way the story and so like I thinking about it that way, I'm like maybe Crim is right. Wow, okay, yeah, okay, maybe I can get out of the safety of just like following the source material. Look, I'm just
we all want the sure thing.
This is I've just been hurt so many times, okay, and like I just feel like I've been abused by these guys who keep telling me, no, don't worry, baby. It's the same.
It's gonna get better.
I'm the same. Yeah, it's like it's familiar and whatever.
Yeah.
It's like it's like that. I've been hurt by Game of Thrones. I've been hurt.
We've all been
we've
all been hurt, right? By these annoying, poorly written liberties that have been taken, right? And they all suck, right?
Yeah.
But I guess I have a way more optimistic view. And it's apparent that I have an optimistic view on this. But if you don't take the chance, you wouldn't get the joy that you got out of the Monogatari series, right? Like if you just follow everything to a T, you would not have had that.
That is very potentially true.
And
yeah.
That's why I hope it's okay if every few series do it, but if every series does it, then you're just kind of like potentially missing out. Now, and I know some of the listeners at home will disagree and just say, I'd rather just know the sure thing, and I'd rather know what's going to happen and know that it's going to be better or at least enjoyable. But enjoyable isn't what's going to make it like a legendary, right? And you want to strive for that legendary and fall somewhere short of that. So you're not going to do that if you play it safe.
Also, yeah, I was also thinking too, like not only about just playing it safe, but also sometimes like manga can have questionable things.
Oh, we're not. Are we talking about the tropes? Are we talking about the tropes again?
We haven't even talked about that stuff. Yeah, I was like, I would love Fire Force without. Okay,
first off, you leave Tamaki out of this. You constantly bag on Tamaki, and I enjoy her moderately. Okay. She's good every now and then.
I'm sure you do enjoy her every now and then, Crim.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I do. All right. She's great.
Yeah. You're probably late at night on the computer monitor. Yeah,
however, I choose to enjoy my art. Okay. The thing here is.
Yeah, you single-handedly did.
Yeah, okay, you know what? All right. But the thing here is, I don't think she's that bad. But, I get it. I can understand why, right? Like, she's more or less just like kind of the walking, like fan service, right? She's walking fan service.
You've walked into my trap card. Fan service.
Yeah, exactly. And I've mentioned this before. I watch my trash shows. I am not without trash, okay? Clearly, you know this. I am weeb trash, and I partake in like some of the more like trashy shows. But I understand what I'm getting into, right? Like it is god awful, and it is nothing deeper than literally just flashing things on screen. And so I understand why you wouldn't like it, though. So understandable. But good news is that Fire Force has enough characters surrounding all the boobage and random fan service that is Tamaki. And like they're great. Like I genuinely love so many of the characters surround her. So, but yeah, there's lots and lots and lots of tropes that manga have, and that the show picks up with it. But yeah, like some source material like manga could be changed. Imagine, I mean, this is once again starting to cater maybe towards an audience that they don't care about. Yeah. Right? And I get it. Not everything has to cater to us. But at the same time, there is just some stuff that probably is like questionable, like that you could change within anime, right? Everybody listening, there are problems within anime that could change, right? And we're talking about, I don't need any more stepbrother, ooh, oh, whoa, like I don't need any more of that. all right, it was funny. But we're done now, right? Like we're done, and we're done with the boring tsunderes. This is all the issues I had in our tropes episode, and this is where the anime could capitalize. It trims that out. Imagine if we didn't have that.
Yeah, no, I think like, again, I think of other shows that we've kind of mentioned that like we're not as big a fan of because of the fan service, or not even just fan service, like just purely objectionable things like Wishoku Tensei. Some of the scenes in there, I think a lot of people find very questionable. Like, does it need to be in there? And I think it's kind of like what you're talking about. If they wanted to broaden the appeal of a show to a wider audience rather than just degenerate weebs, which is fine. If that's their audience, that's their audience. But I do wonder how big anime could be if it like tried to widen things up a little bit and make things more like generally good rather than just trying to appease manga readers' want for their source material to be animated, I guess. So I guess I think that's a pretty good wrap on the topic, right? I think we've we covered quite a bit and made a lot of comparisons with like the Marvel universe and like movies, books to movies, shows, like comic books to movies at the scale of Marvel movies. Like I think we covered a lot there. We covered a lot. There's
some slightly heavier hitting things, within it, and then like of course there's the good old like the age old battle of manga versus anime, and I think we did a good job talking about that. But like, if there's anything that you think, please comment in the comment section. Let us know, right? Like, I mean, this isn't. I don't view my opinion as objectively correct or anything like that because I mean,
these are just preferences.
Right.
Yeah. And like if you guys are listening to this, like, please leave a comment on our YouTube channel and stuff. And like, I'd be curious if the gun-toting lamp genie of weebdom comes to you and asks you, like, I'm just kind of curious, like, what other people's perspectives are on this. Cause like, as you saw in the very beginning, I was like very unsure where I landed on that. And we kind of like talked a little bit more through it. So let us know if we have changed how you think about the stuff, and like, or if we're just wrong and we're just awful and Crim is trash. We know, but
I mean,
like,
I am trash.
also,
like that's not up for debate. I am trash. Tweet at us, or leave a comment in the comment section. We're reading it, we're checking it out. So thank you so much for the support. And also, hell yeah. Over 1,100 downloads.
Our podcast is we've got quite a few people downloading the podcast. We really appreciate it, guys. And thank you for tuning in. And we're about to hit next week. We're going to be on our 20th episode already.
Wow.
We're moving. We're
trucking along, and I'm loving this right now. So thank you for listening, and, continue to share the word. The more people you get into it, the more people you can be like, oh, I listened to them first. I was an early supporter, and look, I know my anime community, and I know you like that. So here's your first badge right here. Get that first badge in, and just tell everyone, tell your grandma, tell your pet dog, tell your dog's friend, just whoever, and grow with us as we continue to just keep doing what we love, and talking about anime and hanging out with y'all every week.
Yeah. So yeah, with that, thank you guys so much for listening. And I guess with that, we'll see you guys next week for our 20th episode. Peace out, guys.
Peace.